So we're going to be talking about transposition against modulation. Now, what is the difference between these two? Modulation. Okay, let me start from transposition. Transposition, like on the keyboard, you realize that most of the normal keyboards have what we call a transpose button. So what that button does, let's say you're a keyboardist and you know how to play in only the key of C. There are 11 other keys, mind you, and you realize that each of the keys have a different style of playing to it. Now what the transpose button does is that it shifts whichever key that the singer is singing in to C, so that you can still play in C, the other key that the singer is singing. So say a singer is singing in B, because you only know how to play in C, you would have to use the transpose button to shift the B to fall on the C, so that you can play C chords and C movements for that B key. In other sense, what that is doing is that it's shifting the entire B into C, so that you can have your way with the key. So now transposition is when you move an entire music or an entire song into a different key and never come back. So get the difference. So with transposition, you move an entire key. For those of you who know how to read music, if you are asked to transpose a key, say you have a sheet music in key C and you want to transpose it to key C sharp, it means that on the staff, the appropriate keys that are supposed to make you shift these entire keys into C sharp has to be done. So what you do is that you shift the entire music from key C to key C sharp, and that's what transposition does. So most of us in church and in our bands, what we do is what we call transposition. But there's a misconception, because everybody calls it modulation. You modulated into this key, you did this in this key, you modulated to this key, you modulated to that key. So I'm coming to what modulation is. Before I get to that, I'd want to say that every key has 5 remote keys that a modulation can happen to. Maybe in our next episode we are going to be touching on that. But those 5 keys allow one to move from one key into another key, almost always without being noticed, and then come back. So the difference between modulation and transposition is that with modulation, you move from one key to a related key, those related keys that I talked about, and you come back, and most of the time you end in that key or your original key. With transposition, you move and never come back. But with modulation, you move to any of those 5 remote keys and come back. No matter how long the modulation is going to take, you come back. So maybe in our next episode, we're going to be talking about what accidentals do. And you realize that there's one of the accidentals called a natural. So a natural restores a note back to its original position. And you have a staff that you are reading, you realize that you see a lot of naturals. You see a lot of naturals if there's a modulation in that sheet music. Okay. So what a natural will do in that sense is that it will restore you back to the original key that you were playing. So very simple. Now, if somebody should ask you what is the difference between modulation and transposition, The difference is that with transposition, you move the entire music into a whole different key and never come back. But with modulation, you move to a different key and you come back. Now these different keys, like what I said earlier, each key has 5 remote keys and you can move to each and every one of them. So now it means that if you are in a particular place, you have to be the change. You hear somebody saying, let's modulate to this key. I think you should ask the person, are we going to come back? If not, then it means that we are doing a transposition and you correct the person. So we are transposing, so the right words are, we are transposing to this key. So if we are modulating to this key, it means the original key has to be the end of the song. So here's an example of what a modulation is. Now I'm going to show another video of an example of what a transposition is so you get the difference. So
works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. He will be my God. Hold me closely to his side. With love and strength for each new day. He will make a way. He will make a way. By a roadway in the wilderness, he'll lead me. That's right. And rivers in the desert will I see. Heaven and earth will fade, but his word will still remain. That's right. And he will do something new today. Oh, God will make a way. Yes, he will. Where there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. He will be my God.
Declare today, Lord, you've been so good. Lord, you are good. You've been better. I owe you my life. I can't praise you enough, God. Somebody say, even if I tried, it wouldn't work because. Come on and lift up your voices. So good to me. Come on, say, Lord, you've been so good. I don't know why you do it, God, but God knows we're grateful. I owe you my life. I can't.
So before I end this video, I want to thank you for sticking with me. I want to say that in the coming weeks I'm going to be starting, or should I say that in the coming months, I'm not yet certain on when I'm going to really start, but I know that it's going to be this year. I'm going to be starting theory-based vocal lessons for singers. I believe that each and every singer is supposed to be ear educated or ear trained. This is the end of this video or this episode. If you like what you heard and want to learn more, I wish that you subscribe now and hit the like button. Comment if you have any questions or if you have any suggestions in the comment section. Share to people that don't know about what I just talked about, and I'll also suggest that you hit the notification bell after you subscribe, so that anything or any theory or any video that I drop from the Judah Sessions channel, you'll be the first to know.